Hello, everybody. Thank you so much for coming. I'm Jacqueline Korn. I'm the founder and director of this new initiative at Taglit called Storytellers. Woo! We are building a global incubator for Jewish creators from around the world to use storytelling, nuanced content, and to build communities online that can shift the conversation around Jews and Israel globally. I come from the SF tech world, but life, or Hashem, or both, called me to jump in with both feet to the Jewish world in the post-October 7th world. I also recently organized Shabbat at Burning Man for 1,500 Jews, if anybody saw the videos. It was crazy, Jews and non-Jews. And very excited to announce here for the first time that we're organizing a collective of Jewish creatives to do a giant Shabbat at Art Basel. So stay tuned, we'll send the announcement soon. I've always been the kind of person to announce my Judaism very loudly, from every roof in every room, always. And I've traveled the world sharing it very proudly, very openly, and specifically about how the values that I hold most true and dear are Jewish. Family, education, asking questions, giving back, and that's the heart of the Jewish people. Post-October 7th, I felt like I'd lost my voice. A spectrum emerged amongst my friends, some Jewish, ceasefire now Jews, some looked at me like an unapologetic Zionist, unquestioning, and somewhere in between, I felt my own voice disappear. Even the thought of how people were gonna receive me as a Jew or that I'm connected to Israel felt like a fundamental freedom of mine was taken away, like the freedom to just be, to walk into a room, to not think about how anyone thought about me. And Storytellers, this new initiative at Taglit, is a reclamation of that freedom, a freedom that all of us deserve and that all of us will get. There are 11,400 Jewish nonprofits in the world, and for 25 years, Birthright has stood as one of the institutions that has most greatly touched the lives and shaped the identity of our people. And so when I thought about this idea, sat down and calculated how the idea of reclaiming our story could touch as many Jews as possible, it was no question to me to bring the idea to Taglit and ask them if they would bring it to life with me. So we are redefining what it means to be Jewish in our generation, and we're doing it with Birthright through Storytellers. We have two amazing alumni here. So Storytellers will impact Birthright as an organization as it rises to meet this moment. It will impact each brilliant, culture-shifting individual that will go through this program, and it will impact the Jewish people. And that's why I'm excited that all of you are here today. Every person who has an audience online, whether you have one, whether you're building one, whether you have your own profile and you have a sphere of influence, we are the ones who tell our own story. And when we can find a way to confidently weave Judaism and Israel into what we share with the world, then we inspire others to do the same, and fear dissipates. While we're still in early days with the program, I know that we're building a very cutting-edge initiative for the Jewish world, one that empowers the next and the current generation of influential Jews with tools, community, and confidence to bring their voices to life. As Jews, we may not have the numbers of other people, but we've always been extraordinary at becoming influential in whatever we take on, in whatever industry that is. So this project, Storytellers, is meant to propel forward the future of Jewish influence, to build more influential Jews across industries and across geographies who are proud and clear about how they can be Jewish and connected to Israel online and in any community that they touch them, with our community behind them. The future will be visible Jewish representation, and we will see that online and in person. And I really truly believe that, because we can't hide anymore. So Storytellers, very specifically, it's an accelerator. It's a program that's happening in Israel for Jewish creators. They come, they build content, they build communities, we share projects, and we talk about what it means to shift culture through our own passions in the world and how we can marry Judaism and Israel with that. There's two programs that we're running. If you know someone that's would be interested in one of them, or you would be interested in one of them, we have QR codes we'll pass out. We have a geopolitical and digital influence fellowship at Reichman University, where you come, you study Israel's counterterrorism strategy. This program is for activists, creators, people who are speaking about Israel and want to up-level their message. We also have the Impact Incubator, of which Meir and Kayla are alumni, which is for artists, founders, actors, wellness practitioners, really anyone who's shaping culture in their own way, to come, to meet others who are doing that in different pockets of the world and share their voice and their story. And the through line is simple for Storytellers. It's a program for people who have or are building influence online, because that's where the conversation must shift. So thank you to Hashem for this opportunity, for all of us to reinvent ourselves in this moment of really opportunity. It's been a crazy 2 years, but really we're standing in a moment of amazing opportunity. Thank you to Birthright for taking the leap with this idea, and to all of you for being here tonight, for being curious, and for being part of this global movement that we are building. Let's build it together, one voice, one post, and one story at a time. And with that, I will pass it over to Kayla and our amazing panelists.
Jacqueline!
Hi, everyone. For those of you I haven't met, I'm Kayla Schreibstein. I'm so thrilled to be moderating tonight's panel. I had the privilege of being a part of the very first cohort of the Storytellers program this summer alongside Meir Kay, who's here on stage with us tonight. So by day, I am a tech sales girly, but by night, I'm focused on building my passion project, a podcast I started about a year ago today. It's called Friends of Kayla. The platform was born out of my own personal journey and struggles with my Jewish identity. I grew up in a Reformed household, never felt deeply connected to my Judaism. I used to describe myself as Jew-ish, with the emphasis on the ish. I was often the token Jew on my sports team, in my sorority pledge class, always trying to fit in rather than stand out. It wasn't until my mid-20s that I began to truly connect with my Judaism while living in New York City. And then after October 7th, like many of you, I was shocked and heartbroken, not only by the world's reaction, but by the silence of people I once called best friends and even sisters. I lost some of the closest relationships to me, girlfriends who were my sisters and I thought would be at my future wedding. So that pain lit a fire within me. It pushed me to speak up and create a space where Jewish voices and stories could be celebrated. So that's what Friends of Kayla became, a platform to highlight what it means to be Jewish and proud through conversations with inspiring people. In fact, I've had the pleasure of interviewing all 3 people on the panel tonight, so check out their episodes when you get home tonight. So maybe some of you will be a future podcast guest too. Would love to chat with you afterwards. But without further ado, I'm really excited to introduce the panelists we have tonight. You might recognize them already, but if not, I will give some brief introductions. So we have to my left, Sarah Akiba Ben-Amin. She is a Paris-born and now Miami-based celebrity stylist, creative global director who has styled stars like Jay Cortez, Lele Pons, and Young Thug. She is also a founder of AWOM Foundation and Book the Spaces, empowering women, youth, and creators through mentorship and creative collaboration. So big round of applause for Sarah. We also have, to Sarah's left, Brian Spivak, all the way here from Israel. He's the CEO of Barzel Media and creator of the Economic Iron Dome. He's building a global movement of creators and brands using storytelling and commerce to protect Israel's image and strengthen its economy. So round of applause for Brian. Lastly, we have Meir Kay, who you might recognize from his YouTube channel back in the day. But Meir is now a breathwork facilitator, retreat leader, and co-founder of Ahdama Remembrance, a Jewish men's retreat. And he is also an author of a kid's book about optimism featured on Oprah Winfrey's Favorite Things list. So welcome, Meir. So these are our lovely... What's that?
Learning new things already.
Already, yes. Everyone has really interesting... I would love to hear your fun facts, but we're not going to start with that question, don't worry. So my first question of the evening is for Sarah, because you've been completely outspoken on your own platform, at times maybe risking your own career. But you've been a proud Jew, and we really appreciate your voice. So I'm curious, was that always something that you were posting about prior to October 7th, and how have you made Judaism a core part of your identity, even amidst people in your world that may not support us?
I think that, first of all, hi everybody, thanks for having me. I think that it's just, I've always been proud. I've always shown my Jewish Moroccan roots. Like I've always shared Shabbat, and it's always been a big Shabbat, and everyone's like, oh my God, I love your family, this is so cool. And then it quickly shifted. I mean, in work, like they always know I'm Jewish. Like I'm proud to tell them, even my clients, they're always, a lot of them are Christians and really believe in God, and I think we share that mutual understanding of, I'm a big believer in Hashem. I think Hashem every single morning, every single day. It's a part of it's just a part of my life.
What does that say?
It says Hashem runs the world. Absolutely. Well, he definitely runs my world. And, he's at the forefront of my home, of my life, and I share that with my clients. Now, with time, and after October 7th, that shifted very quickly. I've worked with the David Guettas of the world, Ed Sheeran, J Balvin. I was a creative director for Jordan, and after that, it's kind of like no one was hitting me up anymore. Sorry, do people even say that anymore, hitting me up?
They do.
Anyway, so it quickly changed, and I was okay with that. After October 7th, maybe it was me who changed, actually. Everything was about that. I couldn't go to work anymore. I mean, it took me 8 months to get back to styling. I just couldn't. I changed my whole life. Even my family was like, maybe it's too much. You're gonna lose your business. You're gonna stop making money. And I didn't care. My soul was just broken. All of our souls were broken, and nothing else mattered. It mattered to be Jewish. And I would fight with everybody online until I realized fighting's not gonna change anything. But I would hit up actually a lot of my friends in churches, in schools. I'm a mama to 300 young girls in public schools. And I'm their Jewish mama. I always remind them, I'm like, I'm that Jewish mama that you maybe don't know. And I ask them, do you know about the Holocaust? They have no idea what it is. So I bring in Holocaust survivors. I bring Judaism to them and show them we're actually beautiful people. Like, look at us. We're so lucky. We're such a beautiful people. We're always united. You know what I mean? And that's what I try to bring to the table now in spaces that aren't Jewish, actually. So we invite non-Jews to our home for Shabbat. And we show them what a beautiful people we are, what a beautiful culture we are. When I go to Israel, people are like, oh my God, you're in Israel? And I'll share a Muslim sitting next to a Jew, and I'm like, you guys have no idea what you're talking about. Come here, I'll bring you. Through Storytellers.
Exactly.
Yeah. And that's the truth. That's what I've tried to do with a lot of my clients, Jay Wheeler and Samita, and these are really, really famous Latin artists. And I'm like, I'll bring you to Israel. You'll be safe. And little by little, they start listening. And yes, they'll post about, free Palestine and this, and I'll say, let's talk about it. Absolutely free Palestine, but why are you posting this? What's your reason behind it? Is it because you hate us, or is it because you're doing it out of love for the Palestinians? It's two really different things. So I've just learned to shift the narrative a little bit, and as I got back into styling and creative directing, a lot more Jewish clients, and I'm totally okay with it, But a lot of my Jewish artists that know that they were Jewish, they won't talk about it even still today because they know they'll be dropped. And that's okay too. You have to understand everyone's lives, and it could be dangerous for them. I choose the danger because I choose to be Jewish more than anything. Yeah.
Love that. Respect, Sarah. Thank you for what you do. Yeah, so what's work been like now? I feel like you've been...
It's popping. We're making money,
She's balling, yeah. I'm like, I see you on IG, Sarah. Awesome. Well, thank you for sharing that story. And Brian, I want to get to you because you have built a business after October 7th that's been incorporating people like Sarah, people that are influential online. So can you share with the audience a little bit about what Barzel Media is?
Sure. So first off, thanks so much for having me. Thank you guys so much for coming. Also, if you guys don't already follow us, I feel like now would be a great time this is my job a little bit, is to represent and make sure that Jewish voices are being represented, even in our Jewish circles. So take out your phones if you're not already following Sarah, Kiba, Meir Kay, and Barzel Media. Right now is that time to do that. Yeah. And Friends of Kayla. Yes, that's of course. And Birthright Storytellers. So wow. My story is I started an agency called Barzel Media. Our aim is to support pro-Israel creators through paid brand partnerships. And the way this whole thing got started, I have no background in A, entrepreneurship, B, anything in the Jewish or pro-Israel world, but I've been living in Israel for the last 11 years. And after October 7th, obviously, my world was rocked upside down, and I started volunteering at the Hostages and Missing Families Forum. I built and ran the influencer program there from the ground up. I had a team of like 5 volunteers working around the clock, day and night, advocating for the hostages. And essentially, our team was responsible for ensuring that influencers and celebrities could be a positive voice for the hostages and really tell the individual story, not the collective story of 250. That was important. A lot of people were doing that, though. Humanizing the story, humanizing who Omer is, who is Romy. What would Romy be doing right now if she wasn't in captivity? She hasn't been able to do a workout in 3 months at the time. So these are the types of campaigns and initiatives, and we would get influencers who would talk about fitness, relating fitness to somebody who hasn't been able to do a workout. So these are the types of initiatives that we launched, and it was successful getting out there to many folks. But the story is that one of the things that I kept on noticing over and over again, like you'll hear and like you've heard over the last 2 years, is that everybody who was standing up for Israel and the Jewish people, they were suffering themselves. They were losing followers, they were getting harassed. But most importantly, what I saw was that they were losing out economically. They were losing their revenue streams, their brand partnerships. If you're a content creator, that's your income, pretty much, right? Maybe some people do other things online where they could have other sources of income, but if you are a content creator, that's your thing, you rely on brand partnerships. And after October 7th, every single person who stood up for Israel lost their brand partnerships. And I realized this was not sustainable. These are our digital warriors. They're standing up for us. They're fighting the online war. None of them were asking for anything. They just were doing the right thing, and yet they were suffering. And so, long story short, after about 4 or 5 months of volunteering, I ended up officially quitting my job, because I was also working a full-time job, leaving the hostage forum, and opening up Barzel Media, actually all on the same day. And the sole aim of Barzel Media is to ensure that anybody who's using their voice and their platform online to stand up for Israel and the Jewish people have the economic capacity to do so.
Awesome. Thank you, Brian. Meir Kay. Brian, we're getting back to you because I have some deeper questions.
Oh, yeah? Okay.
But I would like to go to Meir first. Meir has a very interesting story, I think, in your connection to Judaism and how you present yourself online. So I would like to start with like what you're doing in the breathwork space and how you are managing to incorporate your Judaism and even Israel. And maybe you can share how the Storytellers program this summer, in particular, influenced how you're facing your audience now on social media.
We're going to give away the whole podcast that we did, but we'll give them a little teaser.
Teaser.
All right. Well, good evening, everybody. My name is Meir Kay. Thanks for coming out on this cold New York winter evening. I think we had a whole influx of New Yorkers came in. They brought the weather with them. I'm keeping it really cool, but I'm freezing, guys. Can't feel my hands. Play it cool, Meir. Anyways, I gave it away. I'm cold. Let's take a deep breath with me. I'm going to take a deep breath. All right, 1, 2, 3 into the nose. Sorry, that was some sound. Man, nothing like the breath. All right, so...
Do you do that for a living?
I do it for a living.
I never do that.
Gentlemen, by the way, tomorrow night I'm doing a breathwork for men tomorrow night here in Miami. A couple of spots left. It's a free event, so come through if you want. You can find me afterwards. But back to the question, Kayla. This was our conversation. She asked me a question, I'll go off for about 20 minutes. So, short long of it is that I'm a breath worker right now in the wellness space, and I found that actually beforehand I was a content creator full time. I grew my following to like 1.5 million followers, over 1 billion views on different social platforms, and I really needed the breath back then, and it really drove me to burnout and started my whole mental health journey, which led me to breath work and then led me to other modalities, which now today, thank God, I'm able to share with other men and women, and luckily we actually have a men's retreat out here 4 or 5 times a year here in South Florida, and we have the privilege of having soldiers who've gone over the border into Gaza and coming back with a whole bunch of unwanted souvenirs mentally, emotionally, and so we've been able to treat them and help them in our own ways through the modalities that we share at the retreat. So that's been really beautiful to be able to give back in that sort of way. And in ways that the Storytellers journey has helped me to find my story, it's forever evolving, from becoming a rabbi in Singapore to leaving religion, finding God, finding spirituality again. But for now, the way this trip, there was one particular moment which we had this night out in the Negev desert. And there was this magician, his name is Enon, and for those who decide to go and on the Storytellers this coming winter, I highly recommend it just for this night. And you're going to bring back Enon, right? 100%. And this guy is an incredible like magician archetype, and he created this unbelievable experiential experience where one of the themes of the evening was to get in contact once more back with our heritage, with our ancestry. And we had this one opportunity to connect with our full Hebrew name. And I go by Meir Kay. My first Hebrew name is Avraham. And so there I am, tripping out, not on mushrooms, but on the breath and nature and the desert and walking in the sand, which my Avraham and the Maccabees and our mothers and grandmothers and grandfathers before us walked. And everybody's gone to sleep. I'm under the stars, and I'm just hearing the name Avraham come back to me, echoing back to me from the valley. And it was just a transformative evening for me, and I really reconnected back to what it meant to be Jewish, what it means to be Jewish to me. And I found myself coming back from Israel feeling so much more connected to my Judaism, but more so to being more obvious about it through my content. And you'll find now that my content is very, I would say, fusing the ancient wisdom with the modern language and connecting a lot of Kabbalah and spirituality, but in a grounded way. So, yeah, I'll leave it at that for now.
Thanks, Meir. Yeah, Meir got some great content in the desert, so check that out on his Instagram later.
By the
I
way,
haven't smashed the follow button from, yeah.
I'm also Abraham.
You're also on
Yeah, man.
Get the hell out of here. One second, sidebar.
By the way, also I have a sweatshirt and a jacket if you want, like extra.
No,
if
I'm
you want.
chilling.
Yeah,
No,
okay,
you're kidding
cool.
me. No. Thank you, bro. Man up. You know how it is, like, guys and ladies, you're wearing something cute you want to show. Like, I really love this shirt, so I just like really want to like rock it tonight. So that's
Where's the shirt from? Who are you wearing?
I'm wearing 613, but
Okay.
yeah, it's coming
Future-
soon.
future sponsor?
And then like in the back is the Beit HaMikdash. You get it, like coming soon, the third temple.
Oh, love that.
It's pretty dope. Yeah, free plug right
613,
there.
future sponsor of some of these.
Maybe. Let's go back to Kayla though.
people,
Kayla, take
yeah.
it away.
Thank you, Meir.
Sorry, I always got to be plugging.
It's funny because I was going through my questions and obviously put some of them through ChatGPT, and one of the replies from chat was, just be wary of Meir Kay. His energy might take over the panel. And I was like, I didn't even prompt it to say anything about Meir's energy, but they just know.
Yo, the
They just
self-awareness right now though.
Self-awareness.
I put it
Key.
back at you.
Key. You're good.
Wow.
I have one more thing to.
I think ChatGPT is actually becoming too self-aware also. Yeah. Wow.
So that was pretty funny. But getting back to the way you guys present yourselves online, we have a very big mix of people on this panel, right? Like, you are extremely outspoken, posting about October 7th, posting about Israel. Meir's doing it in a more casual, like more behind the scenes type of way. Brian, you obviously have a company, you live in Israel, it's a little bit different, right? But for people that are genuinely afraid of the backlash that they might get from posting online or talking about it in shared spaces, I would love to hear maybe, Brian, from you on, what's really going to be the most impactful, and how can people do that if they're genuinely afraid of losing their job?
Wow, this is a question that I get all the time. It's probably the most nuanced and complicated questions, and a question where my answer has evolved over time. So I will say first off to the audience, actually, one of the questions that I've gotten so many times is, how can people show up and actually support Israel? People say to me like, oh, I post online all the time and, I'm sharing stories. Should I continue doing that? And believe it or not, I say, no, don't do that. Well, maybe, fine. But the problem with doing that is it's very, very easy for us to do it. We have a phone in our pocket. We see other influential folks do it. And then we're like, yeah, I did my part, right? That feels really good. We scratch that itch. But I feel that we are more effective fighting this fight if we do it in our spaces where we know and we're confident about. So Meir fighting the fight maybe more subtly is actually more effective, perhaps, than doing it in this very loud and obvious way. And I actually personally think, and I think you guys would agree, is that somebody who's posting 100% about Israel all the time, we're kind of talking in our own echo chamber. I think that somebody who's posting 5, 10% infused with Israel and Judaism here and there is way more valuable. I value them much, much higher. And so I invite you guys to take that concept too as well and think about where in your spaces, in your sphere, in your companies, in your yoga classes, your ERGs, your, like after work events, where can you be most influential? And again, the problem that we have is that we post online, we're like, yeah, I did my part. No, there's many other places where we can be effective and really influential.
Yeah, thanks, Brian. Yeah. Sarah, do you have any thoughts on that?
No, I think that was really good.
I didn't know if you had something to say. Yeah, no, and the reason I asked that question is that I have a friend in New York who has her own business, and she was fired up, as a lot of us are, probably, and those of us that lived in New York City, to see the mayoral-elect. And she posted a video about it, and her whole family texted her immediately. Even her fiance was like, how could you post this? Like, people are going to call you Islamophobic, people are going to call you xenophobic, and they did, and they said all these things, and like, you have a business, like, you need to protect yourself, and you can't politically post something online. So she took it down, and she was happy with that decision, because she's like, at the end of the day, there's other ways that I can influence besides posting something on social media. Even though it might feel good, we might feel like we want to use our voice in that capacity, but there are other ways to do that. So, Brian, what do you think is the most tactical way to do that? And what core values of Judaism should we be focusing on today?
Wow, that's a deep question. By the way, if anyone wants
For everyone to jump into that. Yeah, not just Brian.
Okay, but for anyone who wants to hear a deeper dive on that, what Kayla just mentioned, we talk about on the podcast, which is not yet released, but coming soon. I'm going to think about that for a second. If anyone else wants to jump in, if they have a thought.
I can share.
Yep.
My dear, I'm sorry. Go ahead. My dear friend Valeria Lipovetsky. Anybody follow her? She's amazing. Yeah, she's good.
Fashion.
She's a good one. Yes.
Oh my
yeah, and
God.
she's very
Wow.
funny and very silly, and the way she chooses to implement it is very subtly, but in a beautiful way. So she'll always share Shabbat on Fridays with her family. And she said, in the beginning, she would post about October 7th, of course, lost a bunch of followers, et cetera, et cetera. And she said, everyone else is doing the arguing. She doesn't need to do that. She just needs to share the little beautiful things about our religion and our people. And kind of like what I was saying before, right? It's pointless for her she'll lose everything. But the way that she does choose to share it is, like I said before, just share the good things. So I think Shabbat is a really good start. I think if, kind of like you said, you didn't have the connection with Judaism like you would have wanted, maybe just start lighting candles. Maybe just start with that and share how you light candles. And then you can kind of just inspire someone by sharing light, into someone else's life. Or maybe it's just a quote. Every morning I haven't done this in quite a long time, just because Instagram for me right now it's touch and go. I like to be in real life. Real life is better. Yeah, but screenshotting Modani every morning. I would screenshot it and post it. And so many people would write me that aren't Jewish or that are Jewish, what is this prayer? And it's just, thank you, God, for bringing my soul back to my body. And just that little thing that I would share would a lot of people would just share it back or ask, oh my God, how can I start doing this small prayer that's like one sentence? Or even a lot of my churchgoers. So I listen to a lot of soul music, ministry music. For the soul, like totally for the soul. And literally on our way here, we were listening to Chandler Moore. Oh my God, right now. Stop it, I will lift my hands. I'm like, Amen. Amen.
Stealing the panel. I'm sorry.
No, it's so good. It's just so good.
ChatGPT,
But
be aware.
It's
Be aware
for
of
the
Meir.
soul, It really is for the soul, and it's not about religion. It's about feeling God. Doesn't matter the religion. You know what I mean? And I think that there's so much to be said about even how non-Jews do it, but how can we as Jews connect with those people? Just sharing those little moments, and everyone connects in those spiritual moments. It's about spirituality. It's about breathwork. What he's doing, forget about it. He's doing the right work. We're all doing it, but like he's putting it in places that could work for anyone. It's not just for the Jews. I hope that answers the question.
Yeah, absolutely. Meir.
Yeah, I'll
Your time.
add to that. I love what you shared, and just to piggyback off that, one of the values I would say is the basic, is the golden rule, v'ahavta l'recha kamocha, and it starts with home. And I feel like some of us, especially in the content space, can get lost in like what everybody else is doing and how vocal they are. And touching on what you said is like coming back to your own voice and being so authentic, and that's what Storytellers is all about, is like, what are you good at? What are you excited about as being a Jew? Like, what do you get lit up about? Maybe it's Shabbat, maybe it's Moda'ani, maybe it's one of the other 613 mitzvot. Not a plug for the tzitzit, I promise you. But what is it that lights you up? And then go ahead and use your voice in that way, because that will that'll be the most authentic way that will come through in the content or through your voice that you'll be sharing. And like, it just brings me back in 2019, one of the many wars that broke out in Israel and the Middle East, instead of like fighting and yelling back at one another, like you ever watch two dogs bark at one another? It's like ridiculous. And that happens a lot on social media. Instead, I went onto the streets of New York City, and like I did a blindfold hug experiment, and I just told people I'm Jewish, I'm here, and I'm willing to just like give a hug, for peace, for humanity. And that blew up and got hundreds of millions of views and got reposted by musicians and artists and actors who not necessarily were friends of Jews, but they loved the message. And so I find, similar to what you were saying, Sarah, is fighting darkness with light instead of sinking down, to a level of an idiot and they'll beat you, because of their experience, is to go ahead and to like fight it with light, fight it with your own inner voice, which is truth, which is light. So that's something that I would say. And ultimately, what it means to be a Jew, I find, is v'ahavta l'recha kamocha, is love. It's love. It's flooding the word with light. And when we find, this is a quote from the Lubavitcher Rebbe, when you find a piece of the world that needs fixing, that is sort of God telling you, like, that's your mission. Like, that's what, and you live about it, like, that's your calling to fix that part of the world. So, aho.
Wow, that was so beautiful. By the way, you ever have those moments where you're like, oh my God, that was you? Like, I probably saw that video and didn't know
That's
you
how
back then.
I didn't want to say.
Yeah.
That's how I found you.
Yeah.
And let me tell you something. I watch videos like that all day. Anything that brings joy and love into the world, that's what I watch. And when I watch you, if you don't follow him already, do yourself a favor.
No, they are, because they already did it, right?
There you
When
go,
I told
right.
them to, yeah.
Do your homework, or you get in trouble. But you're just such a beautiful person in that way, how you spread love and light and meditation. And I think as a Jew, it makes me want to be better. Like the dogs barking, that's what that, like, it doesn't work. It doesn't work. So like what you're doing works.
Thank you. We're just mirrors of one another, so whatever you see in me, you got it. If you spot it, you got it.
So I'm going to attempt to add to that a little bit, and also actually bring in a few examples of people who I've seen really do incredible stuff. Because I'm not a content creator, I'm not an influencer. Again, my job is to elevate those and ensure that people who are creating content online have that support. And I see people like, you guys know who Jeremy Awakens?
My boy.
Yeah.
Love Jeremy.
So Jeremy, that guy just has done incredible stuff since October 7th. He's been incredible inspiration and voice for Israel and the Jewish people in only the joyous ways. And I heard something today. I was at some AJC event, and somebody said, we need a little bit less of the oi and more of the joy. Yeah, so I think that's another thing that we can keep in mind when we're trying to find our voice online or in regular social circles. And Jeremy's done he started this initiative called Tefillin Gang, just inspiring people to put on tefillin. I don't think Jeremy is would consider himself prior to this an observant Jew. It doesn't matter. Nobody cares about labels. Find the thing that you're passionate about and do that thing. That's how you find your calling. And that's what Jeremy has done. And I've seen it now. I was on a panel in California hosted by somebody who I was doing a little work with. She was helping me. She randomly reached out to me and said, hey, I love what you're doing. How can I help? She consulted for Barzel Media for a little bit. And then I saw recently she reached out to me. She said, hey, Brian, by the way, I started this community called the Jewish Advertising Community. And it's just a network of Jews in advertising, like it sounds, and bringing these voices together through community, through events, through a WhatsApp group. People need to find their voice. Somebody in this crowd has the ability to do that. Whatever your field or your category or interest in, your hobby, Jewish voices in yoga, I don't know. What do you guys do? What are you interested in? Find your voice in that particular area. And
Yeah, that was a great answer. Thanks, Brian. I think also a question that I have too, and this goes back to kind of like what Meir was saying about his content and the work that he does and showcasing Judaism and its beauty and its light and focusing on the positive things. Like Judaism has become so politicized and is often associated now with conflict, with violence. But how do we post about being Jewish while also tying in Israel to the conversation? Because my rabbi said to me on the phone the other day, without Israel, there is no Judaism. So the question I have for you guys is, obviously it's great to showcase being Jewish online through Shabbat, but how do we bring Israel back into the conversation?
So my take on it is, and it's a little different from some other Jewish content creators, is that I do believe naturally a lot of the world already associates Jewish and Israel all in one breath. And so, I wear the mug in David. Sometimes it shows in the video, sometimes it doesn't. But that being said, I feel like just being a proud Jew, and it already automatically brings Israel with it, because usually when someone wants to hate on me or has some sort of feedback, it's already Israel, like, die Jew, or like, Israel this, Israel that. So there's always that association between being Jewish and Israel. So that's my take on it. So I just show up as being Jewish. And then what I would do sometimes, depending on what's going on during the year, perhaps, it's Yom Ha'atzmaut or something's going on in Israel, some breaking news, something positive happened in Israel I want to showcase, then I'll find moments in time, like instead of being 100% Israel, because I don't want to just become an echo chamber, I'll find moments that are crucial, that are important, that I find connected to, and I'll sprinkle that into my content, to my message. And so it's being somewhat strategic, but also just being in flow with what's going on in the calendar year, as well as what's happening in Israel, and tying that in.
I think through what you guys are doing. I think Storytellers is the winner here. I think that getting creators to go to Israel and show people how incredible it is. Like, we were staying in Neve Tzedek. People were like, "Are you in Italy?" I'm like, "No, I'm in Israel." Like that. It's those little things. Showing. I think that you guys are the answer.
So I guess like one of my questions is, and I've personally been grappling with this, is like it's really easy to get really fired up right after a catastrophic event like October 7th and be posting and want to do everything and drop everything for our people. But in times when things seem calm and more normal, like our hostages are home, thank God. So things have been seeming a little bit less in the forefront of my mind recently. How in those times of quote unquote calmness can we still keep Israel, Judaism, our identity, if we're not practicing religiously every single day in our everyday lives? How do we keep that at the forefront of our minds?
I actually have a question for the crowd. Does everyone actually feel better after the hostages came home? Raise your hand if you actually feel 100% like you feel better, like you feel more at peace. Really?
Maybe not 100%.
I have a hard time still. I still live in.
What do you mean by feel better?
Because
that's
like,
a loaded.
I feel like a lot of people feel like, we're good now. That's it. We can sit back and relax and we're good. I don't feel that that relief fully. I still feel the heaviness. I still feel like I can't get 100%, or I don't think anybody can, but I still don't feel like that 100% feeling of like, we're good now, everyone's home.
Yeah, it's hard to, there's no going back. I think our eyes are way wide open now that we just saw everybody's true colors, whether it's the friends that we lost or the climate of the world and like how rampant anti-Semitism is. Like it's just crazy. So I feel like there's still like a heaviness and a tension that's still building, and things in Israel are still not clear. I mean, so there's still so much chaos going on, which I think we fortunately we thrive as Jews in this. This is our history, and not to identify with the pain as Jews, However, at the same time, in any given moment in our history, we've always become strong. We come together, and look, Am Yisrael Chai, like how incredibly have we come together over these past few years as Jewish people? How many people have taken on lighting Shabbos candles and tapping into their Jewish, the Jewish identity? So, but I think it's not done yet. It's definitely not done yet, and we get to now really use that momentum as that fire, not to get complacent, but to double down and support one another, whether it's Israel, whether it's getting stronger, whether, we're in Florida, get yourself a gun, learn some martial arts. This is not sponsored by Storytellers, but I really feel like, as just let's not fall back into everything like everything's okay. Don't live in fear, and it's level up. Let's not get soft again. Look what's going on in New York.
Doubling down is the answer. I really do. I think that just because we feel like, okay, we keep sharing, keep posting, keep showing our Judaism.
Yeah, I think just to echo what you guys said, one of the questions that I would constantly get from people when I started my company are like, okay, what happens when the war is over? This is February 2024. What happens, tomorrow the hostages are released, or the war ends? And I said, first off, I don't think that's happening, unfortunately, anytime soon. And even once that does happen, we just saw that anti-Semitism is not just sitting there, very innocently. It has showed up. It was dormant for many, many years. And the other side was completely prepared. And we were caught with our pants down. We were completely unprepared. So now, we've been on the defensive for the last 2 years, just trying to hey, no, we're okay, we're legitimate, everything we're doing is fine. And now what we need to do is we need to build up our defensive tactics and structure, right? That's what happens in any war, is that, you're responding quickly to an attack, and you go on the offensive or you go quickly into defensive measure. But now that it's kind of quiet, so to speak, we have to make sure that we have our strong infrastructure to protect ourselves. So when that day comes, because unfortunately it is going to come, and it's going to come in a different way, we have everything fully set up and prepared to launch an attack, to be offensive, and to ensure that we have a strong defense to protect ourselves. So that is what we need to focus on right now.
So, of course, we have a mix of people in the audience tonight, many of which are not content creators. So if you guys could challenge everyone in this room to create something, post something, have a conversation, what would be your homework assignment for these people tonight? Sarah.
Enjoy life. Go enjoy life and share that, and just share being a good person. Like his most viral video, I don't know if that was the most viral one, but it's just giving people hugs. Be a good Jew. Really, but a lot of people struggle with this that I've, encountered and had dinners with. A lot of non-Jews have said, oh, but I've had this instance with a Jew that they treat me bad because I dress this way, or because my skin color is this way, or because this, or be a good person. Show that you're a good person, and then say, I'm Jewish. That could come after. And if you keep spreading that, they're gonna be like, oh, my encounter with a Jew was a good one. They're gonna remember you for that. And that's what I do with my kids. My students will never forget me. They never forget that I'm Jewish. I promise you that. And as they get older in their homes, they'll talk about, oh, the Jewish woman that taught me how, to journal in the morning. She was amazing. And then that spreads in your home. And if it spreads in your homes, it spreads in your neighborhoods. If it spreads in your neighborhoods, it spreads in your city. And then it's in the world. You know what I mean? So it's that. Be a good Jew. Be a good person. It's not just on socials, in real life.
Nice. Love that. So I think, to kind of echo what Sarah said, showing up, and I think being authentic and having, conversations with people, being doing tikkun olam and being a good role model for the Jewish people. But I think something that we don't tend to think about when we think of Israel and we think of, just our role with Israel, a lot of times we think of Israel as this oh, let's go there and we'll go and visit and let's give charity to Israel and because they need our help, right? Like that's how we think of it, as like this like poor little child that we just constantly need to help. And I actually think that we should take a different framework, a different lens on how we treat Israel. We should treat Israel as a place where we want to invest in. We should treat our Judaism as a place where we want to uplift others in business, in our interactions. We have that ability to do that. That's my lens, and I am constantly talking about this and promoting this idea that we need to uplift our Jewish business owners. We need to constantly find those partnerships. Don't just like put it out and be like, oh, whoever's got the best price and maybe I'll just work with them. Because you know what? Tomorrow, what's going to happen? They might call you up and say, I don't care that you've been paying me $10 million a year. I don't want to work with you, you know, effing, whatever it is, right? Whatever they want, whatever is the trend of that moment, that can happen overnight. And we need to remember that. So we need to look out for our brothers and sisters economically, and we need to think of Israel, how we can invest in Israel so that the money that is going to charity at the moment will actually come from the economy itself, because we've done such a good job in investing in Israel, in uplifting Israeli and Jewish brands. So that's my message.
I love that. That's really good, because supporting companies like yours, I even told you this on the phone when that's how we met, literally over the phone. I said people need to be donating, not just to nonprofits, but to companies like his that really are pushing the narrative in the right way. You know what I mean? And like supporting storytellers and people like you who are just amazing people doing the right thing. I think that's more of, not to say don't donate to charities, but donate and put your money into companies that are Jewish and that are spreading the right word.
Thank you, Sarah. By the way, just a little note on that is that everything I just said supports pro-Israel creators, supports Jewish-owned businesses, and it's a little bit deeper, but I'm just going to give you kind of the answer. It will actually shape and strengthen Israel's PR. We go into a little bit detail on the podcast, and this is what my speaking tour has been about, but it will actually do all three of those things. So yeah, follow us and check out what we're doing at barzelmedia.com.
There's not much I could add besides, I'll just lean more directly to the question. I think we all have a little artist inside of us, right? The artist, what is it? The child, the artist that survived is a child, something with a child. Anyways, we'll scratch that in post. We'll do that in post. But tachlis, we all have our creative inside. So whether it's writing, whether it's a song, whether it's video, whether it's a conversation, I feel like we could lean into that. That could be a really fun challenge this week to go ahead and do that thing, whether it's posting that content and scrolling back. Perhaps you've been to Israel in the past year or two and taking a clip from that and slapping some text on that and posting it to your gram. Gathering some Jews, some friends of yours, and having a Shabbat dinner. I love what you said, Sarah, about like the Kiddush Hashem, the idea of like wherever we go as Jews, we are a walking billboard of what it means to be a Jew, and people reflect that to us. No matter what it is, we are held at a certain standard, when we walk down the street, when we take an action. And so whether you hold the door for somebody, you let someone skip it to you in line in the supermarket, we're always on call, we're always being watched and scrutinized. And so taking that message to heart and just being proud, walking with pride, because you're chosen with a responsibility, you're chosen with eyes on you, and how you act and how you are is the grandest thing that you can do, and in the most subtle of ways, but also the most important of ways. So, yeah.
Great answers.
Wow.
Thank you, guys. I feel very inspired right now. Hopefully you all do as well. So when are we going back to Israel, guys?
I'm going tomorrow.
I wish.
I mean, shameless plug. Also, another way is if you are able to apply and you are able to get into the program, Storytellers. There's, I believe, 2 back-to-back in January and February are happening. I would do it. Honestly, it was I've been to Israel a couple times in different ways, but this was such a unique way. It wasn't just going to the Dead Sea and going to like Masada, which are awesome. But this is a very unique opportunity to have experiences like I mentioned in the desert and others with like-minded Jews who are out there, who are creative, who are artistic, and just really deep dive into art and see Israel through a new lens. I've been to Israel multiple times, and I have not seen Israel in this way. So if you are able to make the cut, highly recommend jumping onto Storytellers and speak to Jacqueline because it is life-changing.
Also, there's a high likelihood that I will be giving a workshop through Storytellers. We're finalizing that.
I'm not allowed to go.
Sarah doesn't qualify. Been to Israel too many times. So yeah, if you do qualify, you guys should totally take advantage. We're very sad about it.
To be able to be a part of something like this, like tonight, and still be a part of Storytellers, like you were saying, just made me feel really included. I did Birthright, so I don't qualify, but Birthright changed my life. It made me actually study abroad in Israel. I went to Tel Aviv for a year. It changed my life. So it's totally different from just going there on vacation and being on the beach and eating watermelon with feta, you know?
Amazing. Well, that's all for tonight, guys. Thank you so much for being here. Really, really appreciate it.
Round of applause for Kayla.
Kayla, well
Say it.
done.
You're amazing.
Jacqueline,
You're
well
so cool.
done.
And thank you, Jacqueline. Jacqueline came here
Thank you,
from Mexico
Jacqueline.
City just 4 hours ago
Wow.
to put together this event. So thank you, Jacqueline, for all that you do.
By the way, if anyone wants T-shirts, I'm literally giving them away because I cannot bring them back to Israel. So T-shirts in the back, take them if you want them. Iron Zion. It says Iron. Iron Lion Zion. Yeah, because Barzel means iron. And yeah, so grab them. There are no sizes. It doesn't say a size on it. So you just hold it up and see if it fits and go for it. Thank you so much. Thanks for coming, guys.